For those of you listening who have been through the process of labor, I'm sure you can relate to this message on some level. I'm so sure that you can remember the process of the labor, whether it took 2 hours or 24 hours. It was still a process. From the beginning of pregnancy to the actual birth, it was quite an ordeal for some of us. If you are anything like me, the pregnancy itself took quite a bit out of me because I had such extreme morning sickness that I could barely keep anything down for the first 6 months. Then I got a bit of a reprieve that lasted about 3 months or so when I got to dine on a fine delicacy of cheese pizza and breadsticks from Pizza Hut, which was all I could manage to keep on my stomach. So then, when my first two children were born, I decided to do the natural thing and go it without medication or painkillers during the labor or birthing process. I think I may have had something very mild, like a Demerol or something like that, but none of the hard stuff. So basically, what I'm saying is through that piece of the process, it was just me and Jesus, my God and me. Well, let's just say that those were very interesting experiences because the pain was absolutely excruciating. I mean, it was just torturous until the moment of pushing came about. By the time it was that actual pushing moment, I was too exhausted to push. I am telling you that between the exhaustion and the horrible pain, I just, I just couldn't. And so finally, I realized, though, that I had to finish this thing out. I mean, after all, I couldn't just get to this point and just stop. It had to be carried all the way through. The mission had to be completed. The baby had to be born, and this journey had to be fulfilled. So, in that moment, I had to get myself together. I had to hunker down. I had to dig deep, and I had to push with everything I had because the process had to be completed. I had to push through the exhaustion. I had to push through the pain. I had to push through the scares. I had to push through the stares of the people who were watching me, wondering why this crazy lady is screaming out of her mind. I had to push through the tears. I had to push through the discomfort. I had to push through the distractions. I had to push through. But oh, let me tell you that when my beautiful babies were born, when they came into this world and I laid eyes upon that which I had been laboring for all that time, it was a beautiful, a grand, glorious moment. And so, this is what we must do with our dreams and our goals. Sometimes it feels like we go through so much just through the build-up process, meaning that prep work that we must go through in order for us to get our minds and our hearts and our spirits together so that we can go through the actual birthing process of our dreams. Mhm. The lessons, the heartache, the pain, the stuff that teaches us what we need to know to be able to carry this thing all the way out. I call it the price of our process. By the time we get to the actual point of birthing out our true assignment, our true purpose, we are exhausted sometimes. Sometimes we're too exhausted to run through those last few feet to the finish line. So let me tell you a little story. When I was teaching, and there came a point when there was what I felt an unfair and unfortunate circumstance that led to my having to transition from that place of employment, I knew that I was supposed to start a school of my own with a specialized curriculum and a specialized mission and vision. God told me so, and I did it. Trembling and with a little trepidation, I did it because I knew that there would be a giant leap of faith that would have to occur in terms of finances and in terms of security. But I did it anyway. And of course, the year, it had its ups and downs, and it had its trials and tribulations, and it also had its triumphs. But by the end of that school year, I was exhausted. I was exhausted mentally. I was exhausted physically. I was exhausted spiritually because of some of the circumstances and situations that I had to deal with going through that process. And I felt that I just didn't have anything else left to give by the end of the year. I felt as if I was just a mess. Interestingly enough, near the end of that process, I was shown that it was time for another conference, such as the one that our women's empowerment group had taken place the year before. That time was coming again. But God said it was time to enlarge our territory. And so that was the call that was placed upon me as the leader of the group. It is time to enlarge your territory. But I was so tired and so beat up from the last assignment that I was given, that I was walking in obedience in. I thought to myself, I don't have the energy to enlarge any territory and to walk out on this. I need a break. I need a minute. I need a breather before I carry forth and I move on to this next thing. I need that. I don't have the energy for it. I'm toe up. And so I remember, I remember being on our prayer call a few days after I was given this mandate. And I said, friends, family, I'm exhausted. I don't have the energy that it takes to walk out on this thing. I know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I just don't have it. What do you do when you have gone through a pregnancy and you have gone through the laboring process, but you're too tired to push? And that was the question that I verbalized, and I was very serious about that question. What do you do when you're too tired to push? And one of my brothers said, and I will never forget this, he says, sister, if you don't give birth, if you don't push, the mother and the baby will eventually die. The baby will stay inside because the time for that child to grow inside of the womb has come to an end and the space has reached its full capacity. So it's time for the baby to come out. If the baby stays inside, it's going to suffocate. And then in turn, the mother's body is going to react in such a way, and the mother is going to become ill. And then they're going to go in, of course, to get the baby because the baby has to be birthed. But how will the baby be birthed, and what will be its state when it is born? If it is pulled out in a manner that is not the way that it was intended, will it be deformed? Will it be missing something? What will its spiritual state be? What will happen to the mother in those areas as well? So you have to push. You have to find a way to push the baby out so that it is born in the manner and the state in which it was intended. And I tell you, it stopped me. It stopped me. It stopped me right in my path. It stopped me. And I thought about it. And I said, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And so then I started thinking about dancers that prepare for recitals. Years sometimes they practice, months before the recital, day after day. People who are athletes and they go out there and they practice in the hot sun or inside. They just practice and they practice and they practice. I mean, for hours and days, weeks, months, and even years sometimes for those who go to the Olympics. And all of that time is to lead up to that moment. It's that moment. It's game day. It's showtime. And all of that practice leads up to then. But no matter how painful, no matter how exhausting, no matter how mentally, emotionally, and physically taxing the preparation is, none of that counts until and unless you perform on the big day. You must give birth to the intended mission. And so it is with our dreams and our assignments and our purposes. Even if you're too tired to push, even if you feel like you've carried it through the pregnancy and you've endured the hard labor, the showtime moment is the actual birthing process. And so what I want to leave with you on this particular subject is, no matter how tired you are, keep pushing. No matter how exhausted, keep pushing. No matter what is going on, keep pushing. No matter how long it seems to take, keep pushing. No matter the obstacles that seem to be in your way, keep pushing, because there will be a time when you will be on the other side, and your dream, your goal, your purpose, your assignment, your destiny counts upon, it rests upon your ability to push it all the way out. You can do it. So remember, just keep pushing so that you can bask in the glory of what happens on the other side.